End there. No problem. A very good afternoon to everybody. This is the fifth and the final day of our presentations. Semester 1 students are making their presentations, and this is ongoing from 15th to 19th of October. Today is the final day of these presentations. Let us see on the topics pertaining to history of English literature. The students who are going to make the presentations, let us have a look at the list of the students. I hope my audio might be, yeah, it's okay. In the morning we had a problem with audio. Okay, let me share a screen to have a look at the list of the students in this group. Okay, so first we will have a presentation by Aarti, and she will make presentation on Christopher Marlowe's contribution to English drama. Sorry, Anjali will be making a presentation on Christopher Marlowe's contribution to English drama, followed by Avani, who will make presentation on mirroring Shakespeare's major works, followed by Drashti's presentation on Tennyson as a voice of the Victorian Age. Ghanshyam will read on discovery of printing and its benefits to literature. Hetal will read on socio-political conditions during the Victorian Age. Insia will make a presentation on Paradise Lost, difference between biblical and Islamic story. Mansi will read on characteristics of Romantic Age. Payal will read on John Keats as a poet. Rajeshvariba on literary characteristics of neoclassical age. Rinkal on Jonathan Swift as a satirist of the neoclassical age. And finally, Upasna's presentation will be there on difference between Elizabethan and Victorian age. You all have submitted your presentations in Google Classroom, and through Google Classroom you all are going to make your presentations. In Google Classroom we have one system of teachers assessment through rubric, and on this rubric we have various parameters on subject knowledge, organization of ideas, logical sequence in which your ideas are presented, your verbal skills, clear voice, correct and precise pronunciations. Then mechanics of writing, spelling errors or grammatical errors are seen. Also your questions are being observed, that when you ask questions, are you drafting it properly or not. Non-verbal skills like eye contact, body language, enthusiasm is to be seen here. And last two parameters are about research-based writing, where how well you integrate the sources to support the claims made in your paper or presentation. And finally, whatever or whichever sources you have referred to, how are you citing it as per MLA documentation style? Is it alphabetically organized or not? Our webinar is going live. We are streaming it live through StreamYard on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube channel. This is the list of all the previous student webinars. At point number 14 is the ongoing season. Today is the last day of this season. And here we find that all your presentations are loaded also. So on the first day, here are the recordings of the first day. Second day, also we had this presentations there. So second day's presentations. Second day we had a problem in internet. So we have done the recording of the things, and all the recordings which are done in the classroom are uploaded on the channel and made available here also. And then we had the other days. Third day was there on Victorian literature, the presentations here. Fourth day there, and today in the morning we have completed the schedule, and this is the ongoing live streaming on this particular platform here. You also are evaluating all these presentations as a peer and self-evaluation, and you might be observing how you are evaluated by your classmates also. We have completed 4. In the 5th one, the morning batch students have started evaluating also. And this is how the graph is displayed about your presentation. So if you have if your point number 4 or 5 bar is longer, it means your classmates are happy with your presentations. They liked your presentations. The quality of your presentation is better if fourth and fifth bar is longer than the another one. Okay? If it is second or third, then like you need to improve little bit. So next semester you will have to see that your bar point number 3 bar should be shorter and 4 or 5 should be longer. So that way you can see that how the presentations are being evaluated there. Okay, so this is how we are doing the evaluation also of all these things, and let us start with the first presentation. Yes. You are waiting outside? Yeah, okay, just I will enter you. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and so now you can, yeah, first presentation we can take, and you can start with your presentation. Let me add this in the stream. Yeah. Yes, Anjali.
Hello everyone, good noon to all. Myself Anjali Rathod. Today I am going to deal with my presentation topic Christopher Marlowe's contribution to English drama. This is my personal information. Introduction about the author Christopher Marlowe, the most important dramatist who was a contemporary of who was contemporary of Shakespeare, is really the great figure of Elizabethan drama. He was born. He was born on February 6, 1564, Canterbury, United Kingdom. He was died on May 30, 1593, Tavern, United Kingdom. Marlowe is one of the most suggestive figures of the English Renaissance and the greatest of Shakespeare's precedents. Marlowe's deployment of classical idioms as well as geographical interest, climatic attempt once again to connect Marlowe as a heterodox subversive to his transgressive protagonist. He is the morning star of Elizabethan drama. Uh, uh, he has he has been called the father of English drama because the history of English literature uh, and the greatest greatest Renaissance period he has contributed to much. Marlowe's life. Marlowe, born in Canterbury only a few months before Shakespeare, he was the son of poor shoemaker, but through the kindness of a patron, was educated at Cambridge. He was educated at the age of 20. When he came to London, his soul was searching with the ideas of the Renaissance. He became an actor and lived in a low tavern atmosphere of excess and wretchedness. Thereafter, notwithstanding his wretched life, he holds steadily to a high literary purpose. His works. Marlowe is famous for dramas. Now, no one is Marloweesque or one man type of tragedy. His most notable works Tamburlaine, Dr. Faustus, The Jew of Malta, Edward II, uh, Tamburlaine, This is the first play of written by Christopher Marlowe. The first of this is a Temurline, the story of Temur and the Tartar. Temur begins as a shepherd chief who first rebels and then triumphs over the Persian king. Temurline is an ethic rather than drama, and it lacks dramatic construction. Dr. Faustus. Uh, this is the second play of Christopher Marlowe, Dr. Faustus. One of the best Marlowe's works. The story is that of a scholar who longs for infinite knowledge and who turns from theology, philosophy, medicine, and law, the four sciences of the time. The third work, The Jew of Malta. Marlowe's third play is The Jew of Malta, a study of the lust for wealth, which centers about Barabbas, a terrible old money lender. Then Edward II. Marlowe's last play is Edward II, a tragic study of king's weakness and misery. In point of style and dramatic construction, it is by far the best of Marlowe's plays, and it is a worthy predecessor of Shakespeare's historical drama. Marlowe's contribution to Elizabethan drama, he raised the subject matter of the drama to higher level. Marlowe's dramatized the history of Tambourine, the world conqueror, and Dr. Foster's memorable and pursuit in universal knowledge. Marlowe made improvement in the field of tragedy and modified the conceptions of tragedy in Middle Ages. Marlowe imported passion, women's and forced drama, and Tambourine, passion extent in the direct of world conquest. Marlowe revolutionized and the old conceptions of tragedy and made it fit for the need of new words of the Renaissance. Poetic grandeur and poetic excellence, the drama poetized a wall of Renaissance spirit in place of rhyming lines. He introduced and perfected the blank verse. To sum up, Marlowe was the morning star of English drama. Marlowe's unique style of writing tragedies and innovativeness that he showed in his writings made him quite different from the other playwrights. Thus, he became the Columbus of a new literary world in England, who paved the path for future dramatists, and among the one was Shakespeare, who followed him. Anyone wants to ask a question?
Anjali, what is the writing style of Christopher Marlowe?
Christopher Marlowe, his writing style is his writing style uh, in his drama used blank verse. He first used blank verse in his drama.
Down, down. We don't want to see terrace. Ceiling we don't want to see.
Anjali, what is your opinion about Christopher Marlowe's writing style?
My opinion about Christopher Marlowe's writing style. He also wrote he wrote he wrote his plays in blank verse blank verse style, and all works he also used this writing styles. Thank you. Expresses.
Down or up?
Right? Is it okay?
A very good and knowledgeable noon to all the viewers and my batchmates. Today, very good noon to the all viewers and my batchmates on the last but not least day of our presentation. I'm Avani Jani, and today I'm going to talk about mirroring Shakespeare's major works. Here is my personal information. Here is the points which I'm going to discuss about today. Othello, Handkerchief, Hamlet, operations with Shakespeare's work in contemporary time. Othello. When I am saying that I am mirroring work, that means seeing the work of Shakespeare from this different perspective. When we see the mirror and it is showing reflection, which is totally different from us, then we are also now going to see the some major works of Shakespeare, which is quite slightly different from the other views. So here is the Othello, Moor of Venice, tragedy in 5 acts, which is written by William Shakespeare. The play is set in a motion when Othello, heroic black general in the service of Venice, appoints Cassio and not Iago as a chief lieutenant. Jealous, jealous of Othello's success and envious Cassio, Iago plots Othello's downfall by falsely impressing Othello's wife Desdemona and Cassio in a love affair. Iago prejudices Othello, and Desdemona has given the handkerchief to Cassio as a love token. Overcome with jealousy, Othello kills Desdemona when he learns from Emilia, too late, that his wife is blameless. He asks to be remembered as one who loved not wisely but too well. That was a brief summary of Othello. Dislocate Today I'm going to dislocate the trace of racism within the character of Iago, Othello, and Desdemona, and explain explanation about the play's tragic ending by reference to issue of race, culture, and social standing. Uh, when the Othello has been written, the setting of Othello is about Venice, uh, vision of Europe's others, displayed in many works of Shakespeare, and Othello is one of them. Here is the famous dialogue of Othello. I have done the state some service, and they know no more of that. I pray you in letters when you shall these unluckily deeds relate. Speak to me as I am, nothing exunate, nor set down out in malice. Then must you speak of one that loved not wisely, but too well, of one not easily jealous, but being wrought, perplexed in extreme. In this last speech of Othello, he appears to us not simply as a naive human being easily contaminated by irrational jealousy, but as a tragic hero endowed with a dignity, betrayed by a Venetian society he has admired and served. Metaphorically spoken, we as a spectator or readers are called upon to pass a fair judgment on Othello. We should depict him as a human being caught between contradictions, torn apart between kindness and cruelty, trapped in uh, trapped in the woes of cultural hybridity. This malaise is reinforced by the adherence to Christianity and its notion of paradise. He wishes Desdemona to confess before he kills her. Hence, he is being perplexed in the extreme, which reveals his inability to negotiate and the contradiction inherent in the two cultural poles of his in-betweens. Here is the handkerchief, which is the most famous symbol of Othello. Motif of the handkerchief closely linked to the notion of witchcraft associated by the Venetians with Othello's otherness. When the Othello is a black, and when it comes for a black, there is one witchcraft technique, which is a voodoo technique, which was invented in Egypt, nearly located at African sites. So, while offering a false proof of Desdemona's unfaithfulness, the handkerchief is perceived by Othello as a crucial sign of his cultural identity and otherness. When the thing which is connected with someone's mom, my mom or anyone else's mom, when the thing is connected with mom's thing, then there will be lots of emotions, and we can clearly see the frustration of Othello when he hears from Iago that Desdemona gave the handkerchief of his mother to Cassio. So that is Othello find it very problematic. So here the second dialogue of Othello, which shows the love of Othello for handkerchief, which was given by his mother to him. Othello thus clearly associates the handkerchief which with his mother, the origin of his cultural identity. In this speech, one can detect a sign of the cultural defense of an other. Ironically, it is precisely this handkerchief, the symbol of his identity, which causes the death of Othello. We can see that because of a handkerchief, there is a red bed sheet of Othello's bed, which is covered by Desdemona's blood, is mirrored in Shakespeare's portrayals of his female heroines who are at the mercy of their husbands. We can see through the feminist perspective of in Othello that that the heroines are merciful. Mer- the heroines are at the mercy of their husbands. We can very clearly see that from the perspective in Macbeth also. When we see Macbeth from feminist perspective, then it is totally different Macbeth. So feminism plays vital role in Shakespeare's work. To be or not to be. Famous quote of Hamlet. What is it, nature? Othello has been styled the tragedy of jealousy, Macbeth that of fear. Hamlet is in the process of becoming the tragedy of time wasted. Here, the article compares Hamlet and Macbeth. Hamlet and Othello. That Othello and Macbeth both are a play of jealousy. On the other hand, Hamlet uh, is in the process of becoming the tragedy of time wasted. Inner contradiction in Hamlet's personality, that is sensitivity, strings from carrying out the revenge inducted by the ghost, and yet will do all sorts of bloody deeds on his own account. He is strongly inclined to stab his uncle in the back while he is engaged in a prayer. He sends his college friends quite mercilessly to their death, and is all for struggle with Learts on the very grave of Ophelia. We can see that he takes more and more time to kill his uncle, but he kills his friends very mercilessly. He struggles. He suggests the man who is too intellectual to be practical. He thinks too much and does too little. We can clearly see that Hamlet takes lots of time to kill his uncle, but he thinks too much and he does nothing. When he does very little. What prevents him for executing the mission which he has been inserted? Material obstacles? No. Psychological sculptures? Some of us would answer yes, but no. Mr. Robertson has argued in the article, if we cannot understand Hamlet, it is not because we are stupid, but because the dramatist has blundered it. When we can't understand that, not every time we are stupid, but sometimes there can be fault of a writer or a dramatist also. So it is not always us. Article includes a perspective of Charles Lamb's in the well-known essay of the acting Shakespeare's tragedy, speaks of the silent meditations with which Hamlet's bosom is bursting, reduced to words for the sake of the reader, who else must remain ignorant of what is passing there. These profound sorrows, this light and noise abhorring ruminations which the tongue scarce dares utter to deaf walls and chambers. Here is the perspective of Charles Lambs. We can clearly see in this slide. Charles Lambs adds that Hamlet should not be acted, but how much Hamlet is made another thing being acted. Those who tell me of actor Garrick and his wonders in this part speaks of his eye and of magic of his eye and of commanding voice. It is not what the character is, but how he looks. Not what he says, but how he speaks. When we watch Hamlet, then we are not saying from our point of view. We are seeing from Hamlet's eyes, and from we only hears what he speaks, but not other characters. More people have thought a Hamlet a work of an art because they found it interesting than have found it interesting because it is a work of art. It is the Mona Lisa of literature. Hamlet is considered as a Mona Lisa of literature, as we know that Mona Lisa is a very complicated painting, and this Hamlet is also very complicated in literature. In order to make his piece interesting to Elizabethan audience, Shakespeare has rewritten the character of his hero by means of soliloquies. We have already seen in Macbeth and in many plays of play and drama of Shakespeare that there are lots of soliloquies in his drama and play. There is a soliloquy of Macbeth and his wife, Lady Macbeth, which plays vital role in his drama. Critics have pronounced Hamlet an artistic failure, lacking in real dramatic unity, but they have been few and they have not been the best. Here is the contemporary situation, which has operations with Shakespeare's work in contemporary time. There are some operations with Shakespeare's works. Here is the article which shows that work. White Othello to Black Hamlet: a history of race and representation at the Gate Theatre. White actors portrayed non-white characters through the use of costume and makeup. Generally, this racial impersonation were a cosmetic rather than mimetic. The intimation was not pass an Asian, but rather to augment one's appearance in order to better fit the scenery and setting. Here it is not the use of makeup to impersonate blackness, but that troubles the performance. But rather, it is an inexpert application that robs the actor and the character of dignity on stage. Here is my work cited. If there are any question.
Question is my question is what is responsible for Hamlet's confusion of to be or not to be?
His ability of a quick-witted, of taking decisions quickly is reason for Hamlet's confusion.
Avani, what does handkerchief represent in Othello?
Sorry. Handkerchief represents the chastity of Desdemona in Hamlet. When Othello says that Desdemona has given the handkerchief to Cassio, then he finds it problematic that if she gave the handkerchief, then she also have given her heart to him. So it shows the chastity of her. I hope you are satisfied with my answer. Thank you.
Before we have the next one, a few things from this last one. It was good presentation made by Avani. Yes. A few things to know. Uh, in your citation, you referred to Richardson. That Richardson argues in this or another way. It's Robertson, yeah, not Richardson. Mr. Robertson is argued in the article. There is this problem of tense little bit there, but it is fine. If we cannot understand Hamlet, it is because we are stupid. This argued. Now this you have taken from Claude C.H. Williamson, because Robertson is not directly cited. But who is the Robert? Is Robertson the writer? Then, like, see, when I check, then I will say, you say, according to Robertson, I will go to R. in the citation alphabetically and see Robertson, and then where has he said that? That I want to verify, but I'm not finding Robertson in the citation. So I am asking this. So I think you might have cited in this Claude C.H. Williamson's article. There, Robertson has said this. Hmm. Okay, okay. So yeah, so the right way of citation, what we are expecting from you, is this: that when you cite this citations, what you use inside the text according to this or that. Now that person's last name should go in alphabetical order, and then whatever is the source that is cited, because all these things are for cross verification, so that the evaluators or examiners can check whether you have referred to right citation, whether you have understood it properly or not. That also is seen in that. So that's why it is seen. If this link, once you will start understanding and doing it, it means your research writing will be of good quality. Then nobody ever will question your research writing from this university. If you'll go anywhere for PhD programs or do higher studies, once this you have understood, it means your work will be up to the mark. Nobody will be able to say no to your work. Only this is to be understood. Today morning also we are talking about the same thing, that uh, uh, the way I say it seems to be very simple, but it is not very simple. Even PhD scholars are still struggling to match these things, that when I make an argument I say according to this or that, and that has to be there properly cited also. Okay, otherwise it was a very good presentation that you have made. Okay, next one, Drashti.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all of you, viewers and the reader, and all of my classmates. On today, on a fifth day of presentation of semester one, I'm going to deal with the paper of history, and in this history paper, I choose Alfred Tennyson as the voice of the Victorian age. So let's start. This is my personal information. Points to ponder in this presentation: introduction, his life, his poem, his era, meaning in Tennyson in memoriam, poetical characteristics, why Tennyson is important, and conclusion. Introduction. In the quiet village rectory of Lincolnshire, between the Humber and the Wash, and not remote from the Garment ocean whose wave instantly break on thy cold grey stone the hill. That Alfred Tennyson was born August 5, 1809. It was in the semi-rural surrounding of this region that boy in his walk through lane and copse and grove came to know every bird and insect, the orchestral music of the hedge row and the musical ribbed, in little sharp and trebled of the brook. That one finds interpreted throughout his poem almost down to the last, and that brings them close to popular heart. This is according to a journal where the R.W. Wallace said this about Tennyson. His life. Alfred Lord Tennyson, a foreign honorable member of the academic in class 3, section 4 since 1876, and died at the Eldward in Surrey on the 6th of October 1892.
He early showed a love of poetry, and when little more than 18-year-old, found a publisher for a volume of poem written in conclusion with his brother. In his younger age, 18-year-old, he write a poem in a volume, and also he write a poem with his brother. So this poem also named as Two Brother. And Lord Tennyson is not only a great poet, artist, but also an influential and spokesman of Victorian age. His poem, Ilias, In Memoriam, The Lotus Eater, Break, 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 Crossing the Bar, The Lady of Shalto, and Titnos. These all are his famous poems. I divided his poems in three parts. Blank was his historical plays and elegy. Blank was Ulysses and Lotus Eater. This both poem is written in blank was. His three historical play, Queen Mary, Harlot, and Beckton, and one elegy. He wrote his this elegy for his friend when his friend died, Arthur Henry Hallam, in memoriam of AHH, Arthur Henry Hallam, his era. His era was mixed with the conflict between science and religion. He reflect them. We all know that Victorian age in 19th century, that is a conflict between science and religion. The Victorian age was an age of high adventure for those enterprising spirit who are ever in a vigor of process. During the struggle with revolutionary France, there had been no time for anything hot and grim detail of the actual conflict. The rapid growth of industrialism necessitated a industrial revolution was there in Victorian age. In this age, women began with a slightly measure of success to press their claim for equal right with men. In the past, women's interested were accepted to be subservient to those write more and more, and they wants to be equal. They wants equal right with men. Meaning in Tennyson's In Memoriam. I tell you that In Memoriam AHH is written for his death, on the death of his good friend. The person of Tennyson's In Memoriam can be said to move from despair to happiness because he discovers that the whole past, characterized by disaster and death, has meaning after all. We all know that Tennyson was believing after death. So when his good friend Henry Hallam died, he said in this elegy that his friend is going to be meet in afterlife, after death. Tennyson added that personality, as far as our intelligence go, is the widest definition and includes mind, self-consciousness, will, love, the idea of God as mind. Moreover, suggests Tennyson's participation in that thought of the age that shows good manifesting himself in the movement of the collective mind in history. In this side, one picture is there. This is a lines in the original elegy by Alfred Tennyson. For this alone on that breath, the breath that comes in my heart, he put our lives so far apart, we cannot hear each other speak. This is the lines I taken from his original book. Poetical characteristics. When Tennyson write poems, he include these characteristics in his poems: originality and vivid thinking, excellence, craftsmanship. Evolve the lines in his mind, commit them in his mind, commit them in the paper, and revise until they were never perfect. Lyrical brevity and simple, master of words, and essentially picturesque. Why Tennyson is important? Tennyson was the grand old man of Victorian poetry, holding the laureateship for 42 years and famous for In Memoriam AHH, the Idylls of the King and Mud, and other poems, the last of which include the Charge of the Light Bridge. We all know that why he is called it Alfred Lord Tennyson, because he holding the laureateship for 42 years in the history of English literature. He holding a very long period laureateship in his life, 42 years laureateship. That's why he is called as the Alfred Lord Tennyson. In conclusion, In Memoriam by Tennyson is a very dark and serious poem that deal with the many of the strongest issue at the time, such as death and the reconciliation of science and faith. And looking closely at this poem, one can see a mix of Tennyson growing doubt and spirituality mixing with the powerful wave of grief. What is message of Tennyson's poetry? Many of his poems are about the temptation of giving up and fall prey of pessimism, but they also extol the virtues of optimism and discuss the importance of struggling on with life. The need of preserve and continue is the central theme of In Memoriam and Ulysses, both written after Helen's death. This is a quote: word like nature, half revealed and half concealed, the soul within. This quote is by Alfred Lord Tennyson. This is my work citation. Thank you. If you have any question, then you can ask.
I have.
Drashti, as you mentioned that Tennyson's era was mixed with science and religion. So, is there any impact of science in his works? What do you think?
Yes, I think he's a man of religion. He believe in religion, and also he's very, we can say that after his good friend died, he became very religious and he believe in God. That's why we can say that moreover, he is a religion person than scientific fit person. Yes.
Drashti, my question is how do you connect the voice of this age with Tennyson?
Yes, the voice of this age means Victorian age, and we know that Victorian age is very conflicting and very contrasting age. And Alfred Lord Tennyson is very much religious. I told earlier that, and also he write about after death, life. I also mentioned in my slide that he is very optimistic. We can say that he believe in we can say optimism, and then so he's voice of the age, and he's also holding a laureateship of 42 years. So I can say that he is a voice of the Victorian age, and he's a very important poet of the Victorian age. Thank you so much. I hope you are satisfied with my answer.
Hello everyone, my name is Ghanshyam Katariya, and today's my topic of presentation is discovery of printing and its benefit to literature. This is my information. Invention of printing press. Uh, the German goldsmith Johannes Gutenberg invented printing press in 1440, and it created revolution in printing. Those are the people who contributed in the development of printing press. The first one is uh, Jonah Faust. He was the partner or the advisor of Johannes Gutenberg, and the others are the from the various European countries who contributed in the development of the printing press. Ever since Gutenberg printers have been demanding presses which would reduce their cost and improve the quality of their work. Ideally, the nature of the individual printing job should determine the choice of the style and size of a machine which is to be printed. Revolution of printing. The movable type printing press was the great innovation in the early modern information technology. So it was in that time it was the highest technology of something that is about printing, and it was started in 1446 or in and 1450. In the middle of those year, Gutenberg started his printings press. Over the next 50 years, the technology diffused across Europe between 1450 and 1500. The price of books fell by two-thirds, transforming the ways ideas were dismantled and the conditions of intellectual work. Historians suggest the printing press was one of the most revolutionary inventions in human history. Mokair notes that innovation depends on the cost of accessing exciting knowledge, and that the printing press was one of the most important access cost reducing invention in history. Jones also argues that Western progress owe much to the superior means of storing and dismantling information. Batten and Van Zanden find a significant association between simulated national level wages and observe the difference in aggregate book production in European history. The religious angle in the printing. After it was the printing press established in 1740, there was there was this book, the frontispice of commemorative history of printing, and that said that a god and a goddess, Mercury and Minerva, the latter accompanied by the identifying helmet and owl, escort the wooden hand press in its descent form the heavens toward the earth. You can see the picture here of this saying. There it is awaited by figures embodying the five nations: Germany, Holland, England, Italy, and France. Each nation holds a medallion honoring early printers. Germany holds Gutenberg and Faust, Holland Coster, England have Caxton, Italy Aldous Manutius, and France Robert Astini. We have seen those people's picture in the previous slide. The choice of printers will be discussed This conception of a printing as a gift from the gods entrusted to a heroic generation of a master craftsman was a heritage from earlier centuries. In 1550, a censorship decree was issued by Pope Leo X. It warned against abusing the new power of the press, but also described printing as a God given invention which descended from the heaven. So we can say that it was a man-made thing, and through centuries, many of people worked to develop that, and later, when it was finally established, the religious people started to demonstrate that it was God's given gift. Development of skill. Print media played a key role in the acquisition and development of skills that were valuable to merchants. The ability to calculate interest rates, profit shares, and exchange rate was associated with high returns for merchants engaged in a large scale and long distance trade. Starting in the 1480s, European presses produced a stream of commercial arithmetics. Commercial arithmetics were the first printed mathematics textbooks and were designed for students preparing for career in business. They transmitted commercial know-how and quantitative skills by working students through problems concerned with determining payments for goods, currency conversion, interest payment, and profit shares. The first known printed mathematics text is the Treviso Arithmetics in 1478. So it was the printing press development, and now here this picture shows that it becomes the ancient history that they developed the printing press, and now it's time to make everything digitalized. So these are the several platforms that are available and provides digital information, documentation, and other educational things. Those things are the new things in this present times. The printing press is now as seen as a general thing, because it become gradual, and people adopt to how to work with them. And but here in this picture we see those things, digital India and digital Gujarat platform, and Swayam and Gutenberg and DigiLocker, and those are things are people are still not using, because they are not adapting things, but it will become gradual in some time. So uh, we will cooperate with those type of things. This is my work cited thing.
Yes, Ghanshyam, what do you think about printing press is God-given gift?
No, it was not a God-given gift. We can say that it was a man-made thing, because in 8th century, the Chinese people invented it, and later then Korean people in 14th century also used the moving type print, and later Gutenberg invented in 15th century. So it was developed in many centuries and took lots of time to develop. So it was not a God given gift, but hard work of the more people. Next question. it is not greater than printing press, but we can say it is the necessity of the current people. Back then, they were not able to print papers, so it was necessity then, and when they invented it, it became a marvel, and then gradually they adapted it, and here in this present time, we are dealing with internet, so it's not the greater, but we can say it is a necessity, and we have to deal with it and come along with it. Thank you.
Yeah, by the time she shares this presentation, we can see that this last question which was asked, you can start sharing also, no problem. This how about digital printing? This so printing press has played a very significant role in Renaissance also, because Renaissance ultimately is happening with the help of spread of knowledge. So printing press helped in spreading the knowledge, and so many people started becoming knowledgeable. That was a very significant part of people awakening. So when people read Shakespearean texts like Hamlet, they also observe that even minor characters like grave diggers, they were also very witty. They were very witty, they were very smart. So even the people who were doing very menial task, or the living on the margins, peripheries, they were also very smart people. So this has happened because knowledge was spreading very fast, and thanks to printing press that it was happening. Now, in that context, when we see digital printing, then it is even faster than that. So today, if anything happens in any corner of the world, we also become aware about it simultaneously. Otherwise, we remember that 20 years back, people used to say that something comes in America or first world or European countries, and you will have to wait 5 to 10 years for that to come here. After so many years, we come to know that there is such thing there, and then so many years after we see that. Now today, because of digital revolution, things are made available to people in all the nooks and corner of the world. So wherever there is electricity and internet, they all have equal opportunity now. So that way, the world has become flat. It is not that one is a first world, second world, third world, but all the world has become flat. But provided there is electricity and internet, then. So that way, digital printing plays a very significant role in making people knowledgeable also. Yes, you can start now.
A very good noon to all of you. On the last and final day of semester 1 presentation, I am going to deal with history paper, and my topic is socio-political conditions during the Victorian age. These are my personal details. In table of contents, I am going to deal with this particular subtopics. A brief overview about the Victorian age, historical summary of this age, social conditions of people during the Victorian era, political scenario, and conclusion. So, let's begin with a brief overview about the Victorian age. When Victoria became queen in the year 1837, English literature seemed to have entered upon a period of lean years. The Victorian age started in the year 1850 and stayed till 1900.
Victorian age considered as one of the most remarkable period in the history of England. So here we can understand that Victorian age came into existence with the arrival of Queen Victoria when she became queen in the year 1837. As we all know that every age had their important years and they are very much important to be remembered. So the important years of Victorian era was from started from 1850 and stayed till 1900. Before Victorian age, earlier we have studied the age of romanticism with the great poets like William Wordsworth, Percy Bysshe Shelley, Lord Byron, John Keats, and many others. And now we are going to discuss about Victorian age. So first came Romanticism, and after that the age of Victorian. In this particular age, some of the inventions also took place. Also, some of the reforms were happened in this age, and that inventions, especially, happened in the stream of arts and science, and that is why it is considered as one of the most remarkable period in the history of England. The Victorian age is also known as the modern period of progress and social unrest. Here I have one quotation about Samuel Taylor Coleridge, that if man could learn from history what lesson it might teach us, but passion and party blind our eyes, and the light which experience gives is a lantern on the stern which shines only on the waves behind us. Historical summary of the age. Amid the multitudes of social and political forces of this great age, four things stands out very clearly. After a sketch of the state of literature at the Queen Victoria's accession, men already famous, the essayist, the early novelist, and the great Victorian poets are considered. The literary glory of a new age, which now seems to rank only just below the Elizabethan age. So, if whenever we are talking about the historical summary of the age, or we are talking about the social and political conditions of the age, four things stands out very clearly. They are democracy, social unrest, the age of ideal peace, and arts and science. And I will discuss it each point. So, important points to be understand: democracy, social unrest, the ideal of peace, and arts and science. First one, democracy. The Victorian age was considered as an age of democracy. The long struggle of the Anglo-Saxons for personal liberty is definitely settled. Earlier, people were not feeling free to do such kinds of things, but in this age, freedom was there and given to all. It is said that the House of Commons becomes the ruling power in England. So, from this, our first point, democracy, we can understand that the Victorian age is considered as an age of democracy, because before Victorian era, people were not feel free to do such kinds of things, but now there is a liberty and people are free to explore the new things and ideas which came into their minds, and this is how the idea of democracy established in the Victorian era. Social unrest. It is an age of profound social unrest. Multitudes of men, women, and little children in the factories were victims of a terrible social slavery. So, next point is social unrest. That democracy was there and brotherhood was also there, but this Victorian age is known as an age of social unrest, because slavery was there. Women have to face all kinds of slavery, and child labor were also there, and that is why it is an age of social unrest, and we can find the religious tolerance in the Victorian era. The ideal of peace, because it was an age of democracy and education, that is why it is an age of comparative peace. England begins to think less of the pomp and false glitter of fighting. So, why Victorian age is considered as an age of ideal peace? Because earlier we have seen that it is an age of democracy and education. And first of all, earlier people were not free to educate themselves, but now the education was there. Everyone can educate themselves. They are free in that kind of things, new things, and new ideas they can explore, and we can understand their influence upon the literature. Brotherhood also become universal during the Victorian era, and that is why this age is known as a comparatively ideal of peace. And the last one, arts and science. The Victorian age is especially remarkable because of its rapid progress in all the arts and science and in mechanical inventions also. We are too much absorbed in our science and mechanics to determine accurately their influence upon literature. That first I have discussed that some of the inventions also took place in the stream of specially arts and science, and that is why this age is known as most remarkable period in the history of England. So reforms and inventions took place during the Victorian era. Social conditions of people during the age. There is nothing particularly new about the observation that the social order in Britain was subjected to immense by the process of urbanization and industrialization. Social control are seen as playing an important role in this age. The social class of this era included the upper, middle, and lower class, and this situation known as Victorian England social hierarchy. Political scenario of the age. Political events happened during the Victorian age. It included the abolition of slavery in the British Empire. Also, new governments are formed and take over, and working class political was activism during the Victorian era. I would like to discuss the social class conflicts with the two novels which are written in the Victorian time. I have not included the slide in my presentations, but I want to explain orally that in Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy and Charles Dickens by Hard Times, both novels written in Victorian age, and both the novels had reflect about social class conflict. That first of all, I want to discuss about Hard Times. That in Hard Times, Charles Dickens had divided the characters into three groups, and one of the group was from working class and also known as Hand, and Stephen Blackpool was from working class, and we can understand that how he suffered throughout the novel as he was trying to become truthful, but society and other aristocratic people doesn't understand this thing, and that is why Stephen Blackpool had to suffer so many things and he died in the last. Another novel is Jude the Obscure, that our protagonist Jude Foley, who wants from the childhood who wants to go to Christminster University place, and he inspired from his teacher Richard Phillidston, but because of he is from working class, his application also rejected. Also rejected. Why? Because he was working as a stonemason and belonging to lower class. But he also learned Latin language. He made so many efforts. He is a scholar than other people, but still only and only the particular reason for that why his application got rejected and he didn't get a chance to go at Christminster because he was from working class. So these two novels, we can understand that they both are from the Victorian era, but they had a reflection of the social class conflict. These are my work citations, and now if you have any question, then you can ask me.
Yes, Hetal.
Yes.
As you mentioned in your slide that Victorian era is age of democracy. Can you elaborate? little bit.
Yes, sure. That we can understand that before Victorian era, there was a romantic age, and in that particular age, people were not free to do such kinds of things, and liberty was also not there. But in the when the Queen Victoria became queen, and he came on the throne of accession, democracy established, and the liberty or democracy like painting and writing to explore the new things and ideas are there, and that is why the idea of democracy established in this particular age. Next.
Yes. Hetal, do you think Victorian age was ideal of peace? Because it was also mentioned that it was era of social unrest.
Yes, according to me, Victorian age was an era of social unrest also, because for the reason of social unrest, because slavery, child labor was there. That is why it considered as an age of social unrest. And I also feel the same, that it is an age of ideal peace, because the education and democracy was there, and the idea of brotherhood also become universal in that particular age. So the age of social unrest also, and the age of comparatively peace also, we can consider in a both way. Okay, thank you.
unmute your mic here. Thanks to Divya for informing. Otherwise, the entire presentation might go unaudible.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Insiyafatema Alvani, and today I am going to present about Paradise Lost, difference between biblical and Islamic story. Here is my personal information. John Milton. Milton was born on 9 December 1608 in London. He was the son of John Milton and Sarah Milton. His first volume of poetry, Poems of Mr. John Milton, published in 1645. He is the master of ancient and modern languages like Greek, Hebrew, Latin, and Italian language. His famous works are Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. Paradise Lost. John Milton wrote Paradise Lost in 1667. Paradise Lost is a biblical story, man's first disobedience, which led to the loss of Eden. In Paradise Lost, Milton presents a character of God as emotionless. He portrays Eve character as a weak character, and he presents a character of Shaitan as a sympathetic character and also a powerful and leading character because he started rebellion against God. Milton Paradise reflects the political situation of 17th century civil war between Charles I and Oliver Cromwell. Uh, he, uh, Milton embedded the sharp criticism on towards monarchy uh, in this allegorical story of Shaitan's revolution in God's kingdom. Milton's Paradise Lost has provoked a great deal of criticism from different perspectives such as feminist, theological, political, and psychoanalytical. Anthropology. This is definition from Merriam-Webster, the science of human beings, especially the study of human beings and their ancestors through time and space and in relation to physical character, environmental and social relation and culture. Anthropology is a study of human race, their culture, society, and it's a development of physical development. There are so many myths about existence of human beings, who creates human beings and others. According to Hindu mythology, Brahma was a creator and he creates Manu, and all human beings are children of Manu. That's why we called Manushya. And according to Abrahamic religion, God created Adam and Eve, and all human beings are children of Adam and Eve. Paradise Lost in Bible. The Bible is the Christian holy book written by many inspired writers. There are two versions of Bibles, New Testament and Old Testaments. Old Testament belongs to Judaism. It's written in Hebrew language. First chapter of Bible, Genesis, describe how God created world and human being. The fall of man. Uh, God created world, and after that He created Adam and Eve. They both lived in a Eden garden, and God tells them, "You are free to do everything, but there is a one tree. It's prohibited for you." But Eve was tempted by Satan, and Eve tempted Adam to eat the fruit of that tree, and they both eat fruit of that tree. And after this incident, God cursed on them, and they give a punishment to them. Bearing and giving birth to children and being ruled by her husband is punishment for Eve. And the sorrows of tilling the earth, eating from it, and winning bread for the family. It's a punishment for Adam. Uh, Christianity and Islam, these are two major religions of modern world. There are so many similarities as well as difference between these two religions. They both are believing in one supreme being, in one God. Uh, this story of paradise lost is a very long story, but here I explain some points of this. The Bible teaches that all men are sinners because of what Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden. But the Quran teaches that God had mercy on Adam and guided him. By this, Islam teaches that man is not born with a sinful nature like Christianity teaches. Uh, men are existence of human beings are punishment by God. This idea is not present in Islam. A prohibited tree is a tree of knowledge. According to Christianity, the prohibited tree is a tree of knowledge. If Adam and Eve eat that fruit of fruit, they are as knowledgeable as God, and God does not want to give knowledge to them. But according to Islam, God, after creating of Adam and Eve, God first teach them. Uh, Gabriel angel teach them a great name, and God teach him language, speech and ability of communication. Creation of first woman Eve, Hawa in Arabic. Eve is also an English variant of the old Hebrew word Hawa. Jewish and Christian tradition believes that Eve was created from Adam's rib. But in Islam, Muslim believes that Eve was created from clay. As she was created as Adam was created by soil and water and others. Character of Shaitan. Celestial religion considered Shaitan as a prince of evil. According to Oxford Dictionary, the word Shaitan etymologized from Hebrew. In Arabic language, it's called Shaitan, which means who had been exiled from the mercy, grace, and blessing of God. In Milton Paradise Lost, Shaitan has been described highly great and much powerful, the talent of battling with God, skill of speech delivery and leadership, and immortal being. But in both religion, Bible and Quran both present Shaitan as a bad character, and in Bible, Shaitan present as a immortal. But according to Islam, uh, his name before the creation of Adam, his name is in Arabic Azazil, and Christian call them Lucifer. And after the listening of this story, people have questioned that if God are able to do everything, why he doesn't kill evil like Satan? uh, there is a mythology in Hinduism, a 10th avatar of Krishna. As same in Islam, there is a believes that a 12th successor of Prophet Muhammad, his name is Imam Mahdi, and he will come and he will kill the shaitan and he give punishment, and he live until when Imam Mahdi is coming, and he was killing shaitan. Shaitan was killing by Imam Mehdi. He give him punishment, and he lives today because he is a good angel before this incidents. It's a reward of his good deeds, according to Islamic myth. Here is my work citation. Thank you. Now, if you have a question, then ask.
Insia, my question is, according to you, which concept is correct? Is it Bible or Islamic?
Both are similar also, and both are different also. Both is a myth. It's a narrated by a religious book. So both are good, but which is correct? According for Christians, their myth is correct, and according to Muslim, their myth is correct. There is no proof of it, which is correct.
India. My question is, who was responsible for the fall of Eden? Was it Adam and Eve, or Satan, or God Himself?
Fall of Adam. Adam, because he eats the fruit which is prohibited for him, and Eve and Satan both are responsible for them, and God Himself also responsible for them. So thank you.
Can I audible? Hello everyone, my name is Mansi Gujdiya. Today I will present a characteristic of romantic age. This is my personal information. Uh, uh, Today I will discuss about a few topics. First, introduction. Second, beauty of nature. Third, supernatural elements for emotion and imagination. Five, simplicity in style. And six, musical sense. Uh, First, we can see introduction, basic information about romantic age. Romantic period from the late 18 to the mid of 19th century. The time is the new role of individual thought and personal feeling. It's a peak in the approximate period from 1800 to 1850. First characteristic of romantic age is the beauty of nature. Romantic age depends appreciation of the beauties of nature. Romantic literature was start to publication of the lyrical ballad of William Wordsworth, and other so many poets writes elements of this poem, like William Wordsworth, John Keats. It's second elements of characteristic of this age is supernatural elements. Romantic interest in this in the emotional well works dealing with the supernatural, the weird, and the horrible work like Frankenstein by written by Mary Shelley. So many poet use supernatural elements in his poem. Samuel Coleridge is a leading leading Samuel Samuel Coleridge is the leading poet in this regard. He write a Kubla Khan, emotion and imagination. There are times when nature and imagination are in a conflict with each other. Poetry of all the romantic poets, we find heightened emotional sensibilities and imaginative flights. Wordsworth defines imagination is the means of deeper insight and sympathy, the power of conceive and express image remove from a normal objective reality. For example, The Daffodils, written by William Wordsworth. Simplicity in style. Romantic poets believe in the simplicity in their style. They not follow the artificial mode of the expression of classical poetry. We can easily understood his poetry. For example, The Skyland, written by P.B. Shelley. Musical sense. Their music's intensely personal feeling, and their use of programmatic elements provide an important role of 19th century romantic composer. In this age, so many poems has musical sense. It is easy to sing poems. Now I will conclude my presentation with one quote. Bliss was in the down to be alive, but to be young was very heavens. This quote was taken by William Wordsworth, one poem, the Prelude. This poem is a autobiographical poem. This is my work citation. Now you can ask a question.
Mansi, as you mentioned the characteristic of musical sense, can you give example of any one musical?
So many during a romantic period, so many poems we can sing poems like Daffodils, written by William Wordsworth. Other question.
Mansi, what is the main idea of romantic?
I think it's not a main idea of romantic is, but yes, but uh, we during my presentation we can see so many characteristic of romantic. Yes, all characteristic is a main idea of romantic. Yes, thank you.
Am I audible? Hello everyone. Today is our last presentation day, and today I'm going to. Hello everyone. Today is the last day of our presentation, and today I'm going to present John Keats as a poet of romantic age from paper number 5. Uh, as we know, John Keats is a poet of romantic age. So first I say about introduction of romantic age. Romantic period started in the 1800. The romantic period began with the publication of lyrical ballads by William Wordsworth and Samuel Coleridge. Romanticism is an artistic movement which was concerned with the expression of individual feelings and emotions. The age of Romanticism is also known as the second creative period of English literature. Here is the famous poet of the Romantic age. The glory of the age is in the poetry of the William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley, and John Keats. Life of John Keats. Keats' life of devotion to beauty and to poetry is all the more remarkable in a view of his lowly origin. He was born in the stable of the Swan and Hope in London in 1795. He was died in 1821. He was a famous poet of second creative period of Romanticism. He started writing when he was a 19-year old. Writing style of John Keats. John Keats was known for English romantic lyric poet. John Keats wrote sonnets, odes, and epics. Meaning of odes: poetry. A poem expressing the writer's thoughts and feelings about a particular person or a subject that is written in the lines and stanzas varying in length. For example, Ode to a Nightingale is a famous poem of John Keats and an example of Ode's poem. His poetry contained many poetic devices such as alliteration, personification, metaphor, and consonants. Themes of his poems. First is beauties, nature, love, fancy, power, pain. All these themes we can see in his poems. Keats' love for nature is a purely sensuous, and he loves the beautiful sights and scene of their own shake. His most of the poem based on nature and love. Keats found in nature endless source of poetic inspirations. John Keats' poem. Here I write some famous poems name. First one is Ode to a Nightingale. It is a very famous poem of John Keats. To Ottoman, La Bella Demson's Mercy is also a part of our college time. And Ode to Psyche, Lamia, Ode to Melancholy. So first, I want to describe Ode to a Nightingale. Ode to a Nightingale was written by the Romantic poet John Keats in the spring of 1890. It is the longest poem of John Keats and a very famous poem. The poem focuses on a speaker standing in a dark forest, listening to the beguiling and beautiful song of the nightingale bird. This provokes a deep and meandering meditation by the speaker on a time, death, beauty, nature, and human suffering. At, at times, the speakers find comfort in the nightingale's song and at one point even believes that poetry will bring the speakers metaphorically closer to the nightingale. It is based on a one bird, nightingale, and it is a very famous poem of John Keats. Second is a La Bella Damson's Mercy. The La Bella Damson's Mercy meaning the beautiful lady without pity. It is a ballad poem written by John Keats, one of the most studied and highly regarded English romantic poets. The poem talk about a fairy who lures a man into loves. A poem is divided into two parts. Poem describes the encounter between a knight and the lady. The lady is beautiful. She expressed love to him. At the end of the story, he dies alone with no one to comfort him in his last moments. The major theme in this poem, illusion versus reality, death, love, and seductions. Rhyming scheme of this poem, Abby, Abby. Uh, here I compare with other poet of here I compare John Keats with other poet of romantic period. Keats was not only the last but the most perfect of the romanticism. We compare with other poets like Scott, Byron, Wordsworth, Shelley, and others. Scott was merely telling stories, and Wordsworth reforming poetry or upholding the moral law, and Shelley advocating impossible reform, and Byron voicing his own egoism and the political discontent of the times. While Keats lived apart from man and from all political measures, worshipping beauty like a devout, perfectly content to write what was in his own heart, or to reflect some splendor of the natural world as he saw or dreamed it to be. Here is a famous quote from the poem Andy Mine. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increase, it will never pass into nothingness. According to John Keats, it is a constant source of happiness and pleasure. Its loveliness increase every moment. We can choose to see beauty in the simple things and simple things around us, but this beauty becomes source of unending joy for us. So I conclude my presentation with to say that thus we can say that John Keats was a most promising figure of the early 19th century and one of the most remarkable in the history of English literature. Because why? Keats does not think nature as other phase of development, but one. On the other hand, he does not challenge nature's importance. That is why nature imagery is an important element in many of his poetry. His choice of subjects differ from that of most of the other major romantic poets. Thank you. Now you can ask me a question.
Payal, according to you, how John Keats is different from the other romantic poets?
Uh, According to me, John Keats is different from other romantic poet because personally I observe John Keats is a pure romantic poet because he not say any personal message or advice to her his readers. He advice to her his readers, and he is a different type of write a poem. That's why he is different from others. Second.
Are you influenced by John Keats? If yes, then why?
Yes, I am influenced by John Keats' poetry poems because his all poems are based on nature theme and love. And personally I am interested in writing of poetry of nature, and that's why I am very interesting of poetry of John Keats. Thank you.
keep on sharing the things. Let me open that. I'm sharing this screen also. Then I will switch over to your screen. Yes, so in Insia's presentation, there was a good comparison between both the things. What you should have done is that you might have added some infographics. So, for example, you find very interesting this images drawn. Let me share the screen. Yeah, is my screen coming on the not coming? Okay, let me share. It is going in a different way. Okay. Okay. So this imageries, this kind of imageries, if you bring parallel, like how shaitan is imagined in Quran, or then how he is imagined as a Satan in Bible or in Christianity. Imageries are also quite different. The painting, so that can be brought on the slides. The same way, Adam in Bible or in Christianity, or in Quran, or in this is the Muslim sites, the Muslim Times website, where how they portray this imagery. So that way, this can be brought in, so that then that becomes very good with infographics also. Yes, now you can share your presentation and start.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Good afternoon to everyone. I am Rajeshwari, and today I am presenting. Today I am going to present on literary characteristics of neoclassical age, and this is my academic information. This is the overview slide of my further slides. First of all, I am going to introduction characteristics, and this is the list of characteristics of a neoclassical age, and then conclusion, and then my work cited. Introduction. The term neo means new, while classical refers to the Roman and Greek classics, hence the name of aptly coined as neoclassical. The name neoclassical is itself comes from classical. Neo, here the word neo means new. That means a new era of something. Neoclassical age itself divided into three parts. First, Restoration Age, Augustan Age, Age of Sensibility, Restoration Age known as Age of Dryden, and then Augustan Age known as Age of the Pope, and Age of Sensibility known as the Johnson's Age. There are many other names, the name age of reason, age of satire, age of enlightenment, and many other name for used for neoclassical age. Characteristics of neoclassical age: imitation of the ancients, lacking of the genius of the Elizabethan. The author of the time turned to the great classical writers, in particular to the Latin writers, for guidance and inspiring. Here, and for my further slide is also the characteristic of imitation of the French. Here we can say after the Puritan and then in Restoration age, Charles II comes from France, and so that's why the influence of France literature itself showing in this age, and Charles II comes and established monarchy. So it's also known as the Restoration age. And France literature of France is France literature's influence we can see on neoclassical age. So literature imitation of classic in my previous side I have written on imitation of it. The both points are quite bit similar. One of the most important feature of neoclassical literature is the imitation of the classical of ancient Greek and Roman literature. Here the word imitation, what is the meaning of imitation, that we can say in general life we are the using imitation jewelry. The word imitation means second copy or another one copy, like it's not original but it's a same copy of original ones. The concept of man in neoclassical literature considered the man as the limited being having limited power. A large number of satire and work of the period attack and man for his pride and advise him to remain content with his limited power of knowledge. In our recent times movie, we can see superhumans in our movies. We can say movie is also one type of literature, but at that time, humans. Human in literature human are considered with their limited power and limited knowledge. They are not written as they are very super being and superhuman. The human of neoclassical age are very ordinary man. For the this concept, for the Pope says the proper study of mankind is man. That is the said by Pope. Development of science. Throughout the criticism of this age, one finds frequent allusion of the scientific movement and argument drawn from it. There is another way to interpreting scientific history which can consider science primarily as a movement of ideas. Here we can say at that time in 18th century we are if we are seeing the scientific research that at that time in the area of mathematics, physics, and another area that is very development, and the new concept of electricity and magnesium we are getting in 18th century. So here I in this point I would like to say your contemporary times happening is different, and at that times poet writing on the classical age poem, then they are doing exactly different thing from their contemporary time. Which one is so we can say the this age is very bad age for poem. If you what is which in every time so many writer and other are writing, but which one is considered as very good? So we can say whom or he or she, if they are writing on upon what is happening at that time, if it's reflect in their work, that we can say it is long lasting, and our further ages are referring them, but who are writing something different and not appropriate of this particular age, and they can't if they are not able to say what they are able to represent the age which and where they are lived. So that's why at that time we can't say they are long lasting. And if several things in if writer, poet, author, and anyone, they cannot grasp the idea of contemporary time, and they or relevant problem, that we can say at that time we can say this time is very rotten. concept of nature. The concept of nature was an important characteristic of neoclassical age. By nature, they never meant the forest, nature, but for them, nature means the general human's nature. Nature has itself the two meaning. One nature is nature of that is made by in a universal nature, and another nature that means the nature of human beings. Nature, it is the psychology of human beings. Pseudo classicism. Pseudo, that means itself something is fake and unoriginal thing. Neoclassical age, we can say they are writing on in neoclassical age. Writers try to write on something that is written already written in classical age, and they follow them. So when original thing is itself its own beauty, but if we are trying to copy someone or something that we cannot reach at that point at they are reaching at that time. So this is the studio classicism. Neoclassicism implies actually a return to classical spirit, the spirit of ancient Greek and Rome. Here we can see they are returned to the classical, but this is the very important thing. Why they are returning to classical spirit? So before the neoclassical age, there is Puritan age, and before the Puritan there is Elizabethan age, and in that time that age written on something that is a very sexual content, and that is not they consider it immoral content. So that's why they are going to classical writers, and they start to copying and translating from Greek, Rome, and France. In speech and especially in literature, most of all in poetry, they were given the absurdness of true and thought and expression. Satire. The, the weaknesses of the heroic plays as drama grow the merits of political satire. The set speeches of the temptation and intentionally used like a public argument to uncover the motives and politics of the weak. Nearly every writers of the first half of the century was used and rewarded by Whig and Tories. Here the word Whig and Tories, it's their at that time political party for satiring to enemies. We can say in our contemporary time it's also happening. Someone who is in power, they are giving some money and use their power to tell satire on someone and criticize someone, or in we can say in right now Bollywood it's happening too much with the money and with the power someone can do from another one. They can what they want to do by their power, and but it is a very wrong process and a very bad practice of any of time. It is happening in neoclassical age, that is also bad, and it is happening in our right now time, then it's also a very bad practice. Satire is here the this one quote is given by Jonathan Swift. I quote, "Satire is a sort of glass wherein beholders to generally discover everybody's face but their own, which is the chief reason for that kind of reception in meat in the world, and that so very few of offend with it." Unquote. Here I am taking example of Indian writer's novel. At that time, Jonathan Swift's Gulliver Travels is a satire on political satire, and other satires are like Absalom and Achitophel is a satire on religious satire, and Rape of the Lock itself is a very soft satire itself. So here we can say, in this award-winning novel, Tharoor has masterfully recast the 2,000-year-old epic. Here Shashi Tharoor used Mahabharat's character, and at that time they are using classical times character and things in their work. The Mahabharata, with fictional but highly recognizable event and character from 20th century Indian politics. This novel itself a satire on political parties, and he very well right upon the he compared the character of Mahabharata and the character of at that time's contemporary political person with any one character of Mahabharat's character. Here I am cited this page because might be the I am take it from Amazon. Might be they have some copyright claims, so that's why I'm citing the book here. And we can see other satire on our contemporary time. Shav Vahini Ganga, that is written by Parul Khakkar, a Gujarati poetress. Here the first line is एक अवाजे मर्दा बोलिया सब कुछ चंगा चंगा राज तमारा राज्यमा शबवाहिनी गंगा. That means dead body said everything is good, and Raj itself he tell some political person in your state, in your country, everything. Here Ramrajya, the word itself is a satirical word. Everything is good in your Marda bolya, that means dead body said itself. The word itself is a very big satire on in itself. Satired by what she saw in read, Parul Khakkar quickly brought a poem. She posted the mournful 14th line, did called Shab Vahini Ganga, on her Facebook page. Here in my conclusion said I would like to share about the romantic movement in this neoclassical age. Why should I talk about the romantic movement? But the characteristic of neoclassical age affect and inspire and motivate romantic movement. We can see the age of Elizabethan and Puritan age motivate to neoclassicals, and same as the this age motivates the romantic age. We can see everything and every time change because something is happened that is not acceptable and that is not liked by someone. So change is the rule of nature. The reaction which was bound to accompany the triumph of pseudo-classicism as a reassertion of some instinction of in human nature. Here we can see in poetry writing there is some strict rules to write a poetry. If you are writing beyond it, then it's not acceptable. So that's why contemporary writers are not happy with this rule, and the romantic movement comes. Here we can say that I can take example of our regional language Gujarati. In Gujarati language, there is a rule in a writing poem chand. It's called chand. Chand, that means you are writing something. It's in a rule. There are so many types of chand in English. There is a heroic couplet, ballad, and other thing. As same as in Gujarati, is chand. So someone is not comfortable with this particular infrastructure or structure of poem, and at that time they can't write their emotions and their other things. So after the lyrical ballad published in 1798 and then 1898, and then starts a romantic movement. Conclusion: the neoclassical era was closely preceded by the Renaissance period. Before the Renaissance period, life and literature was mainly dictated by the church. However, during the Renaissance, science and innovation was given the main emphasis. Thus, in the neoclassical era, a vast difference between the two ideologies can be witnessed. Therefore, you will find confusion and controversy depicted in the neoclassical literature. Here is my work cited. Thank you. Now I'm open for question.
Rajeshwari, nowadays people have become more sensible for religion. So we can say that we are return to new classical age. What do you say?
Yes, I personally I say according to my understanding, if people are wearing new clothes and they are looking very modern, but wearing new clothes is not there. You are modern, but if your thoughts are still very rotten and ancient, then that's ultimately you are in 21st century, but you are just in 21st century. Your mindset is last like 18th or 16th century's mindset, and yes.
Rajeshwari, can we say that satire is a fuel to society?
Yes, according to my understanding, I can say satire is the fuel of society. Uh, because of satire, we can say the satire is the way to, like you are putting taunt on someone. He himself or herself, they know it's told to me, and it's very easy to told someone by the satire. And if you want to satire is the, if you are satire on rich people or someone is in power, that at that time satire is very helpful. If you are tell someone who is poor and lower than you, at that time that we can say it's we are laugh at them. But because of power sometimes it's happen we can't tell something to them, and with the help of satire at that time we can tell them this is wrong practices are happening, and with the help of satire we can also send the message to the normal people, and they can also understand it's happening something wrong, and that is not good for our society. Then definitely satire is the fuel of our society. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Rinkal and a topic of my today's presentation is Jonathan Swift as a satirist of the neoclassical age. It's not coming. A topic of my today's presentation is Jonathan Swift as a satirist of the neoclassical age. Jonathan Swift. Swift was born in Dublin and was working in search at once, and he was identified as a great satirist of the neoclassical age. That we all Rajeshwari said previously that the neoclassical era was age of prose and satire. That he is the most famous satirist of the age, and Tale of a Tub lead Jonathan Swift towards the success in his literary career. What is satire? That we first need to understand what is satire. According to M.H. Abraham, satire is a literary art of demonizing or derogating a subject by making it ridiculous and evoking towards it attitudes of amusement, concepts, scorn, or integration. That what satire is. That sometimes what happens, that difference between comedy and satire. That both are different things. That in everyone will laugh, that joke type. That in comedy everyone laughs, and in satire that not everyone will like it. That on whom we have made a satire, that the person will don't like it. That he is satirizing me, and satire is funny. That for whom we had written it will not like, only that the other person will like it because they are struggling somewhere, or they are liking that the way we anyone had written. Jonathan Swift as a satire. F.R. Lewis and some others have tried to, especially the satiric methods of Swift, and most discussion go no further than epi- epithet like complex or subtle. That subtle. That what happens, that Swift had written in a much complex way. That the words he had used, that in Tale of a Tub there is a word tub or court, and all that things are not as much mean by the, not tub means only tub, or the court means only the court is there. That what he wrote don't mean the same word only, there is another meaning of the proper word. He had written the opposite of the word of what he means, right? Satire is the glass of the Tale of Tub. That I previously said that Tale of a Tub is his most famous work, and he had satirized in many of religious beliefs or churches. Most famous work written by Jonathan Swift as a satirist. That A Tale of a Tub, Gulliver's Travels, and A Modest Proposal. That the first one, A Tale of a Tub, is religious satire. Second one is political, and the third one is also a satire on a person who were struggling for their life's sake, and were doing the another thing to for their protection. Thank you. A powerful man without self-control is like a dangerous instrument in the hands of a child. That Jonathan Swift was a man of mind, right? That to write poetry is a very simple thing. That whenever someone will write poetry with only by rhymings and some beautiful words, it will mostly the person will like it. But what is the use of satire? That satire is much powerful viewpoint. That person, whoever is writing satire, will invest his whole mind into it, into his writing. That by very much consciously, or after criticizing political or social things, after he will write. And that is the thing, that a person who is not having self control, that it's much dangerous. These are my works cited. Now you can ask me questions.
Rinkal.
Yes, fine.
According to you, what is a modern example of satire in the present?
Yes, as Rajeshwari previously said about Parul Khakkar, that she has written about political things, that a person who is, matlab, in the sense, a modern satire, that many of the writers are not, in contemporary time are writing on the things that they are mean by good words only. That Raj was a good word. In Gujarati, we are having many good songs on this word Raj, and but here the Raj word is for political rulers or leaders, that they are doing much bad things, and still no one is telling them that you are doing wrong. And some person have to say that no, writers are writing only for sake of money, right? Many of them, someone will say it only that things are not right, and that is the duty of writer, to say things which is going to wrong. Another.
Wrinkle, in contemporary time, are we free to do satire on religion?
Yes. Uh, Religious things are that many of the people are misconcepting religion, right? That with the name of religion, they will do many wrong concepts, that religion is telling this or this. But what happens with the satire on religion? That sometimes people we don't like it, who are having very much pure emotions, or we can say that more strong emotion towards the religion, that sentiments will be hurt if I will tell anything. But in a satirical way, that you can tell that our religion, these things are going wrong, and we need to, that for god, for the god's sake, we cannot destroy a person, or we are giving much food towards the icon of god. But in what is in our society, that many people are still fighting with their empty stomach. That is the thing. Okay, thank you.
visible. Okay. Good evening, all. My name is Upasna Goswami. Today, I'll going to present difference between Elizabethan age and Victorian age. This is my personal information. Introduction about Elizabethan age. It has been a pretty frequently observed that the perhaps Elizabethan literature does not by any means cannot literature produced in Queen Elizabeth regain and in that regain on the of the most characteristic Elizabethan literature was written in the religious of James everyone Shakespeare. Great tragedy was written after a queen's death. Elizabethan age was extremely complex. Further, that its literature is the greatest our country has produced. Both perhaps are quite true. But if we go on Shakespeare as a golden age. Introduction about Victorian era. Victorians were in love with nature history. David Allen described their passion as a series of craze over geology, over Shelley, and our friends as in a petri domain. To cite just a few examples, Len Marius, on the other hand, declines a more comprehensive culture romance and extending over many years. The romance with nature certainly cut across a class and a gender ba- barriers. Stone Cutter, Hug Miller could lose himself. Romance, passion, and love are, I believe, the right words here, and not just fancial ex, ex generations. Victorian era was most of written in a naturalistic poem and love based poem, and then we can see and he written society. Victorian way most of written in a society, and then you can see Elizabethan age. Elizabethan age most of written in love, nature, and so many so many things. And then Victorian era was written in sensibility of our human life. Merrill's books, The Romance of Victorian Nature History, deliberately drawn its romantic title from those of Victorian books themselves. Louisa and Meredith, 1836, The Romance of a Nature, On the Flower Season, illustrated, and Phillips Henry Gosens, The Romance of a Natural History, to name just two. This is that of a characteristics of the Elizabethan age and the Victorian age. This is a picture of a difference between Elizabethan era and Victorian era. There question marks so more different in the even right side is a picture of Elizabethan era, and when left side is a picture of a question of Victorian era. We can see that how different with cloth and their society. Then we gathering second both picture is gathering on a Victorian era and Elizabethan era. Culture and writing style in Elizabethan era. People in the Elizabethan era believed marrying for a love was a silly and a fanciful. However, Elizabethan England had its a fun time to game like a chess and backgammon were popular as were sports such as archery, fencing is the days where frequent both as a religious party practice and by royal decrees. Society was based on a satire, social structure, and ensure everyone knew their place. For a main class is the nobility. Second one the gentry. The third one is the yeomanry, and the fourth one is the poor. In Elizabethan was a no, written in a poor class society and the nobility of our humanity. Poverty was mostly considered to be the individual fault in Elizabethan age. Religious religious life and culture in Victorian era. Victorian England was not a religious taken as a whole Victorian literature. Make this obvious by the time one reaches Meredith and Henry James. There was a religious England within the larger society, but institu- institutionalized Christianity remained fixed in the anti-modernist positions from which the liberal uh, Protestants failed to the lure his contemporary on the content. Similar attitudes had a more obvious political resist. Victorian society was organized hierarchically with race, religion, regoing, and occupation as aspects of identity, and main organizing principle of a Victorian society were gender and class. Victorian era was written in a society, class, and principle of gender, and most of the written in feminism of the Victorian era. Written in Victorian era, he was a Victorian era was a uh, more more popular than Elizabethan. We can see the Victorian era was a focus on the feminism, and their stability. Women in more educated in a Victorian era. So Victorian era was popular than Elizabethan era. Here my conclusion that Elizabethan England was a society based on a religious nationalism that became a success under the reign of Queen Elizabeth, and also serving as an outlet for Shakespeare and his creative work. As we can see, during the Victorian era, many changes took place. Women were able to vote, work, and have a better education. The growth of a population caused for more jobs to be opened, and eventually child labor was vanished. Uh, Difference between Elizabeth and where I was written in so many things like nature, love, and poetry. Then you can see that Victorian era was written in feminism. Victorian era woman was more able, and Elizabethan era was so many works are men are poor and poor, written in poor lifestyle. But then you can see Victorian era, poor child laborness and poorness were vanished. You cannot then more are educated and capable to our society. Uh, this is my cited works, and thank you. If any question you can ask.
Upasna,
Yes.
what is the class situation in contemporary time? Is it similar to Victorian era?
Uh, yes, contemporary time, not 100% similar, but Victorian era feminism were capable, but that time our woman is more capable in Victorian time, and Victorian time is classicism, but that time, that contemporary time was no more than no classicism in that time. Second.
Upasna, how did realism affected the Victorian age? How did realism affected the Victorian age?
How realism affected in Victorian age. Uh, Victorian age was a classicism. Then in our country, you can see casteism. So casteism is you compare the situation of Victorian era classicism and casteism. So not particular, but casteism was similar that Victorian era thought. Even my point of I hope. Okay. Realism. Right now, I'm not able to answer you. Then I can put your comment box.
Okay, let me give a very quick feedback. So this is today was the final day. Your first season is ending now. Three more remains, and we hope that by the end of 4 semesters, you all will acquire lot many skills in things. That is what we want to see today as a part of feedback. That when you like think of this last 5 days, also previously also you had couple of rehearsals in your classroom also, which have helped many of you in managing and controlling the things. Otherwise, in first semester there is lots of burden. But some of you, those who were present in the class when the demonstrations were given, you are able to manage and help each other also. So in all these days, how we learned and what we have learned. I'm not giving individual feedback. You all have done quite well and given justice to your topic also. But when we try to look back at these 5 days, what kind of skills we have learned, or like when you do reflection, whatever activity we do, then we try to reflect upon it. That what is the gain? What are our takeaways? આ 5 દિવસની મજૂરીના અંતે આપણને શું મળ્યું કે what are our gains? We call it takeaways. So we see, like I see that in 3 areas, your skills might have improved slightly. At whatever level you were, somewhere you honed it. If you already having the skill, તો એને ધાર કાઢવામાં મદદરૂપ થયા છે. કુહાડી હતી તો ધાર નીકળી, નહોતી તો ખબર પડી કે કુહાડી જોઈએ હાથમાં. તો એ રીતે acquired that you require some kind of skills on honing. What are these 3 areas? First is your subject content, that is dealing with literature. So when you make presentations in these areas, your understanding develops much better than only passively listening in the classroom. So when you listen, but when you prepare, you read, you Google, you do web questing, and you find lots of resources. And you also come to know that, well, in this area now you are good. At least the 5 topics on which you presented. Anytime people will ask you after 10, 20 years, you will be able to say something. What you have learned passively, you will forget. You might score 60, 70% in exam, but that you will forget. In next semester, it will be forgotten. But what you have prepared and presented, that you will remember perhaps forever. It is something like when at midnight somebody wakes us up and says that today we want to take the test of your walking. You say you can take. You don't say that give me some time to read. વાંચવાનો સમય આપો તો અમે ચાલવાની પરીક્ષા આપીએ કે બોલવાની પરીક્ષા આપીએ. No, you can say, well, you ask, I can walk, I can run anytime. That way, these topics at least will be ready. So your subject content becomes very good. It is said that when you teach somebody, it is the best way to learn. It is the best way to learn. So while making these presentations in this way, you are learning it in a better way. So your subject knowledge becomes better. You develop deeper understanding of deeper understanding of the subject you develop with the help of this. And so what happens? Those who have completed B.Ed, anybody from B.Ed completed? Avani and Hetal, yeah, 2 here, 3 were in the morning session. You have studied about Bloom's taxonomy. Let me share this screen. On that screen, you can see also this. Yeah, Bloom's taxonomy. So, see in this image, are you able to see the pyramid? There is this is the very popular pyramid of Bloom's taxonomy that normally our university exams, they are at the bottom. That is, remember. It is only the test of memory. See, here also we might have adopted that idea that you have to come here and without the help of anything, you have to speak for 5-10 minutes. And what you might have done, you like a parrot, you might have crammed everything, that what I will speak there, and without understanding, you might have spoken well also. ગોખીને આવો અને ફટાફટ આમ ઉલટી કરી એમ બોલી નાખો 5-10 મિનિટ ઓરલ બોલવાનું છે. That will be test of your memory, not understanding. It will not prove that you have understood things or not. So here we are not taking test of your memory. That university exam will take. That can you remember anything or not. This is not for memory, but it is for understanding. Then applying, then analyzing, evaluating and creating. At least few of you, when you compare one thing with another thing, or you try to see the text in context of today, when you connect the dots, what you are doing is you are creating new knowledge. You are creating. So knowledge creation is nothing but connecting dots. Here there is some information, there is some data, there is another information. You connect in your own way, and that becomes new knowledge. That is called creation. Yeah. So maybe in this process, at least some of you, those who were trying to read contemporary things or trying to connect with the today's time, you were able to reach at the top of the pyramid. Everybody cannot reach at the top of the pyramid. તળેટીમાં ઘણા બધા લોકો ટોચ ઉપર બહુ ઓછા હોય એટલે બધા ત્યાં ન પહોંચી શકે. But our goal is to reach there. In a different way, this pyramid is known as hot and lot. Hot means higher order thinking. Higher order thinking. So if you are at the top, then you are higher order thinkers who are able to connect the dots. They are HOT. And at the bottom, you can remember and have a good memory. There are lots, lower order thinkers. So see, in today's time, the role of memory is reducing. Because now memory is a task of things. Like we have a memory stick. Pen drive we call it. So we use tools for the sake of memory. We don't utilize mind for memory now. In digital age, memory things are done by cloud computing. Mobile phone will remember all your phone numbers, make your mind free. So what mind has to do has to connect the dots. Mind is supposed to be free. So the very memory idea is undervalued nowadays. It is not required as such also. Or at a very low level it is required. Those who are very good in memory, they are considered as LOTs, lower order thinkers. Those who are able to connect the dots, they are known as higher order thinkers. So when we think of presentations and you are free to explore internet, website, open internet, where you prepare the things and you are free to go anywhere outside the syllabus, at that time maybe you are trying to reach at this top part, at least analyze, evaluate, apply your ideas, and when you apply, we come to know whether you have understood the concepts or not. Yesterday we had a couple of presentations in morning and afternoon also, where we found that you are not able to apply properly. There is still some mistake that is going in that. So when you apply, we come to know, and we can correct that this way you have to apply that. So that is Bloom's taxonomy, which we hope that so far as subject knowledge is concerned, something of this might be achieved. Something of this might be achieved, and you also might feel that well, you are climbing the pyramid. You have to reach at the top. Wherever you are, you have to judge yourself that well, I am at this level, and I will try to be a creator, higher order thinker also. But many of you are able to do that. That is for sure. We can see that. So applying that you are able to do. So far as language is concerned, you might experience that many of you might have spoken continuously 5 days English language first time in your life. Maybe first time you might have spoken at least 10 to 15 minutes, 5 days continuously. I don't know whether after MA you will ever get a chance to speak also, because our experiences are that when students go from here either for a PhD program or for being a teacher, they rarely get a chance to speak in English language. So after 5 years, when they come to meet, they can't even say properly, "Good morning, sir." That also they have forgotten. And then they give excuse that we don't get a chance to speak English. Our students are working in some rural schools. If you get a good school, you will get it, but rarely people get it. So when you speak, you learn. Language is the more you speak, the more you learn. So if you want to be a good speaker, you will have to speak. So this gives an opportunity to you, and we record it so you can listen it yourself time and again. You know that initially when you listen yourself, you don't like it, because we have આપણે પેલો વહેમ હોય કે અમે તો બહુ સારા બોલનારા છે, આ તો જો કેવો અવાજ છે આનો, એટલે we don't like it initially, but that is reality. Everybody's voice is like that. Our microphone systems are not of good quality, so we can't speak like heroes and heroines whose recording systems are very powerful. But we start training our ears and mind with our own voices, our own intonations, our own speech, our pronunciations, which may not like it, but we trained our ears and mind, and then we can improve also. If you listen this, you will improve. We would suggest you that all this presentations, which are maybe I will tell in digital skills also what you have to do. But during the Diwali day, when people come at your home, keep your videos on your television. Let all have a darshan of what you are speaking with a low tone of voice, and you tell that well, I am here to take feedback. Sacrifice 2 Diwalis for your MS studies. પછીની દિવાળીમાં જે બેસતું વર્ષ હેપી ન્યુ યર જે કરવું હોય કરજો. આખી જિંદગી પછી તો હેપી ન્યુ યર ને હેપી બર્થડે જ કરવાનું છે. 2 years you dedicate yourself for studies, and when people come at your home, then keep the TV on. Let them watch it and this. See whether they are giving feedback or not. We rarely find people around us who are interested in our academic activities. Very rarely. So I think Avani's father was putting some comment earlier. So that is good. Like if your parents are interested in seeing how you are performing, it is good. But rarely that happens. Our friends, our relatives, that are not at all interested in our academics. They are interested in other things only. So they expect all those things, not academic. That is why academically we are not very sound. We require environment. If we have this home, relatives, everybody talking about academics, then understand you have an environment, and that will help you to grow. But if nobody is interested in what you are doing, how you are doing, then we lack the academic environment, and it is very difficult to flourish with lack of environment of academic. That you can test. If people who come to your home are curious to watch your videos, you are very fortunate that you have the people around you who are academicians. They are interested in that. If not, then well, you have to work very hard. First thing, you have to fly away from those people. You have to run away from that locality, those people, that these people will never understand you. You have to, as early you can run away, it is better from that environment. Otherwise, they will never allow you to grow also. So speech, you are improving. Listen yourself whenever you are free. Don't watch other videos. Watch your videos now, and try to work on your speech. So language part. Then when you ask questions, we come to know that we are not able to frame proper interrogative sentence also. This we have learned in school days. Interrogative sentence, But here we fail to make a proper interrogative sentence. So we come to know that we need to learn school grammar also. School grammar, we need to refer that how to ask grammatically correct question. Academically તો પછીની વાત છે કે બહુ ઇન્ટેલેક્ચ્યુઅલ પ્રશ્ન હોય એ પછીની વાત. પહેલા તો ગ્રામરના સ્ટ્રક્ચરમાં આપણો પ્રશ્ન સાચો હોય એ પહેલી. એટલે which નો ને what નો ઉપયોગ ક્યારે કરવો, when to use which, when to use what. I shared today morning one link also. There are so many such websites where it will help you that this is the right, here you can use which or what when you ask them. So that is subject knowledge, that is literature and language. In that maybe your skills might have improved or will improve subsequently. You can judge in your own way how good you were earlier and how good you are now with understanding of literature and language also. Second skill which we think might have improved is presentation skills. So preparing slides, how to prepare a good slide, image text combination, and the thematic design which is necessary there. From there to use infographic. We have highlighted that here you are doing good work, here you are not doing that. Like today we highlighted Insiya's this, that there are beautiful infographics of all this religiously mythological characters. We can bring them when we prepare our slides, that this is how an image of Satan is in Bible, this is how it is Shaitan is in Quran. This is how people have visualized these characters, Adam and Adam. So that can be brought. So how your presentation can be more effective when you use some of the infographics or thematically you connect with your slide. Any other things if you have realized, then that also you can think of. I would expect that you may write some blog on what you have learned so far as these three parameters are concerned, or a digital story on social media or other thing. And then you can tag me also so I can read that, oh, okay, this is what you have learned so far as these things are there. And if anything else, you can add that. So that is second point, presentation skills, how you have acquired, how you have understood that what you can do to make your presentations more effective and attractive. Third is digital skills. So dealing with mobile device or with laptop. Many of you might be good in mobile but not so good in laptop. But even whatever way we were good with mobile or things, we were not knowing how to do multitasking or how to face a camera, how to work on this mute, unmute, how to face this laptop flap properly. So many times we have to give instructions that you are still not coming in the center. So these are all digital skills that when we face camera, how we have to properly put our frame, and then we have to face that. With mobile, how when you ask a question, how you go to YouTube, comment. Many of you were earlier making mistakes and going somewhere else and typing your comments. So now you know, this is what everything you have learned. Earlier you were not knowing. I don't know how many of you might have commented live in any of the live streaming YouTube videos. Then it is first time that you have done. How to make a comment in a live stream, how to ask something to somebody in a live streaming video. If you have not done earlier, this is first time. Now you know. If you have done, then it is good. And this time you had a good practice of asking those things also. These are very important skills when we look at how we deal with this. Then live streaming, how to do live streaming, how it can get connected through StreamYard. This time we use StreamYard. Maybe next semester something new will come. We will use whatever is new. So when you will be in life doing something, maybe StreamYard won't be there. Maybe all these digital tools won't be there. So you can't say, "Ame to aa badhu હતું, aa to હવે નવું નવું છે, આ ન આવડે એમ." Digital things are not about that. It is about whatever new is there, we have to try. So maybe in all 4 semesters, we may keep on trying something new also. Every time in a different, at least 2 different things we have tried here. One in the classroom, we have done the recording and presentation there, and one here in the classroom. So 2 things, maybe something new we will think of there. And you will see how easy it is to make a video. In Teachers' Day, you were struggling so much. Now here, very like it is nothing like it is like child's play. To make a video is just child's play here or there, wherever you want to put the things, everything is ready. But it becomes child's play only after we have tried several times. So in last 2 years, I have personally have tried working with all these things so many times. Coming early, staying late, seeing all the camera locations, light, this, that, and then we have narrowed down to this structure. So even when presentations we were doing earlier, we were asking all the students to sit, entire class throughout the day. Then we realized that we are getting tired. Students are getting tired. So we made groups, 2 groups sometimes 3 groups. And even in that, they were getting tired. Students were talking, doing mobiling and those things. So we insisted on these questions. So at least 2 you listen carefully. But 2 also was very tough. My experience says that even for you 2 was very tough. And then when I was sitting in front, in the back, normally the students are doing all other work on, passing on cheats or chatting and that. So I started sitting at the back and making students sit in the front. So I can see what you are doing. So this all things is evolved. Slowly and steadily we have evolved to this format, and we keep on evolving from learning from your experiences and other things also. So digital skilling will keep on trying whatever new things come and a better way we can manage the things. That all we will keep on trying and learning also. And now what you will do is that all these videos which are there on this channel, you will download it, cut your part, and upload on your YouTube. Your part you have to cut from all the 4 now. 1 already is there for half of you at least, and then you will upload on your video. So then again you will know that how to download from YouTube, how to edit a video, cut a part, and then upload on your YouTube channel, which you will use it on your digital portfolio in semester 4. So if that work is done during this Diwali break, later on you will have a lesser burden. Otherwise, when later on students come and say that network is low, video is not getting downloaded, so I will say, but you might have done this back earlier. At the end of all the semesters, you have to do this. That way you are supposed to do. So that, if you don't do it, then at the end of the 4th semester, heavy burden. If we'll do it, digital skills will be learned about how to download video, how to cut and edit video, and how to upload on your YouTube channel. Today, I go to train many teachers in different states also, not only in Gujarat, but in different states also. And I have seen that very few teachers have their YouTube channels. They don't know how to upload videos on YouTube channels. They don't know the basic editing things also. So these are very, very important digital skills. If you know this, you know something really significant, which so many people outside are not aware about. But now this, if you do, then only, otherwise not. So then we expect that this way digital skills can also be improved. You also have realized how to search quality material. These are digital skills for academic purpose. How to search quality. As we have said, that don't go to study material, go to journals, JSTOR, Taylor and Francis, and many such quality resources. So that also is a skill of web questing. How you can do a very good researching on the internet where quality material you can identify. Many even PhD scholars are lacking these skills. They also still even doing PhD, they go to all rubbish kind of material. And they say that we don't know where is quality material. Or how to reach to quality material, we don't know. Whatever is coming on the first page, they are downloading. But by doing this, and when we comment upon that, you come to know that, well, here is the quality material, here it is not so quality material. That is a very important skill that also you might have learned. So on this 3 levels, one is subject content and language, second is presentation skills, and third is digital skills. On in these 3 parameters, you can think that how you have enhanced, developed all these skills in last 5 years, and what do you think in the subsequent semesters, how we are going to look towards this also. So with this, we end our session, this entire season of the first semester. We are ending today. Now wish you all the best for your assignment writing and your internal test, which will be after Diwali. On 7th of November, we will have this. So then you will come with your assignments and also be ready for your internal test also. We end this session.